Roadie 51. Man, we got a big slate. I know that you're a little bit late to get to it. You got the kids, you got the work. Not like me. I do have the kids, but I don't have the other work. This is my work, so I am pretty dialed in and ready for the slate. I am sadly going to probably disappoint a couple people because I am pretty heavy on the chalk. I currently don't have a lineup. I don't think that doesn't have a Blue Jay in it, and I don't think I have many lineups that don't have 3 Blue Jays in them. That's just where I'm at on this slate. I actually just found one that I have one with no Blue Jays. I want to be over the field. I really like the spot. I don't think that there's other obvious stacks, but what I'm doing is the usual thing I'm doing. I'm using them as complementary stacks quite a bit. And then in the 5-man, I'm just trying to get creative with my stacks, playing some Jake Lamb, who will be lower owned part of the stack, playing Gurriel, who will be a lower owned part of the stack, even playing some Dyson, who will be a part of it, as a part of my big stacks. I do think that you're going to get ownership on everybody else in the 20 some odd % range. I will be probably more than double that. I'm looking now. I have 40% Guerrero. I have 30% Gurriel, 50% Hernandez, 30% Springer, who's my least favorite, which is weird that I have 30% of them. Bichette, 42%, 48% Simeon, 30% Kirk. I'm all over this. I'm not going to avoid the spot that I think is the best spot, even with some chalk. And you can combo stack them with teams like Cincinnati at low ownership, with teams like Tampa, whose ownership has kind of picked up a little bit as the day has gone on. But you can get some low owned parts of that stack easily. And I'm combo stacking them with Milwaukee, who is going to be popular. But you can play the less popular parts on DraftKings. You can play Tellez over. I'm just looking at the Milwaukee ownership real quick. Sorry about this, but those are my favorite stacks, and I am going to play them. And I have some fun one-offs to talk about. But yeah, like the Milwaukee parts that aren't going to be owned, you could play the bottom of the order in a 5-man, and like Kane. You could play Vogelbach or Tellez. I think Tellez will be the lower owned there. You could play Urias, who won't get much ownership. And that's sort of what I'm doing to get a little bit different with my common stacks. How about you, and sort of who stands out to you at I guess your first glance?
Yeah, man, you're right. The Brewers and the Jays are the top stacks we got going. I for some reason the Dodgers are popping a little bit on DK. I know they're playing Musgrove. You probably don't have any of that going on. I know that's your team, but
I don't have the Dodgers, but I never mind it. Like, look, I always say you never mind playing the best guys, even like, and we've seen Musgrove get hit. You have a good bullpen behind him, though. It's hard to justify their prices versus the other. If I was going to play a team like the Dodgers, I probably would go just stack Atlanta or something like that instead. But I don't even have that much interest in doing that, to be honest with you. So I just find that I really like these stacks, and I don't want to get too far away from it. And the one stack that I have a couple weird ones. I do really like Seattle today, especially Haniger. He's one of my highest owned plays, even though he's not in my stacks. And I really like Cincinnati, as I mentioned before. I think that I'm using a little bit of the minimum cost Guerrero at short. The kid's a good prospect, even though he's been terrible. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting slate, and there's plenty of argument for in big tournaments why you should get different and play any of these other stacks other than Toronto. I'm just using Toronto as my complementary stack, as my complementary to those stacks, or I'm getting weird with at least 2 spots in my Toronto lineup, and probably not going to play the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that.
Yeah, that's good idea.
So that's what I've got on both sites, on DraftKings and FanDuel. Sorry, apparently my FanDuel ownerships were a little bit messed up on the site. If you want to know my FanDuel ownerships, they are Blue Jays, Robbie Ray. I have some pieces of Minnesota over there. I have some pieces of Oakland, some pieces of some Tampa Bay stacks. Not getting way off the board, but again, I'm playing tournaments like the 1650, for example. I don't need to get way off the board to win a tournament with 67 players. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, your stacks line up great for the 1650. I didn't know you're playing the 1650 today, big dog. Let's get it.
I'm playing the 1650. I've been playing. The last 3 times I've played it over the last 2 weeks, I've cashed in every one. So I'm going to keep it rolling.
Yeah. One of the guys I met at the FanDuel event, and we hung out with most of the time, OX Bloomers. He's been taking them down, man. He just won 100K on the 1650 the other day. He hit the 50K. He's won another 25K and 10K recently. His Twitter's been blowing up, man. I was like, man, DFS is so streaky, guys. When you get rolling, and you just take it all down for weeks straight.
It's
It's
crazy,
insane.
isn't
Like,
it?
Sheets
Isn't it
has been
so
hot right
strange?
now too, man. Sheets has been just tearing
Yeah,
it up with every
absolutely.
lineup he throws
No,
in.
he's been great. It's funny because I get on hot streaks in both, but it makes the most sense in baseball, right? Like naturally, you tend to gravitate, and teams in bad like when a team's playing the Orioles for a series, for example, you find yourself playing the team that's playing the Orioles, and you're going to play them more consistently. And I just think that you end up getting into more reasonable trends. The NBA, I've had some good streaks because I feel really dialed in and into every play. And you're really, I know more. I mean, in baseball, you could know the most about the sport and be completely off at DFS. It's just a totally weird thing. But I also understand why the trends work because of those series and how they match up, and the teams playing so much in division and whatnot. I think it happens more now than it did when it wasn't like that for DFS. But real quick, I'm gonna say hi to Jason in the chat. What's up to Banks / the Ant-Man, whichever one you want to be called. I'm happy to call you either. Ask any questions, guys. Say any thoughts going that you have on the slate yourself, and then we'll get into some pitching. Rody, at your first glance, so you sort of like most of those decks. Is there anybody who's standing out for you that I didn't mention? Because I don't know if I mentioned Oakland, but I really like Oakland, and I want to get some Oakland exposure too.
A lot of the stacks you got are a little bit more off the board. They're not totally ranking really good in the stacks page that I got, but I mean, I don't know if you said the Royals against Jacks. I know you've liked Jacks. Twins.
I just think he's going to be a good pitcher in the future. I don't think he's there yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Twins are on there. The Rays, I do really like you said. They are getting a couple guys got a little bit of ownership, but a few of them don't have a lot. So that might be probably a stack I go to. But you gave Atlanta as an example. That one probably wouldn't be like you said. You probably wouldn't end up there. That was really off the board, maybe a little bit too much today. Yeah, you summed it up really good. I think those are some good teams to target. I've been targeting these top teams more on the stacks page lately, and I've seen better success too in the lineups that I've been putting in.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of other weird ones, in my long shot stuff, but I still am mixing in some Blue Jays because I have interest in mini Baltimore stacks against Ray, even though Ray is my highest owned pitcher. I have interest in some interest in Minnesota. I actually didn't get to as much KC, and you know what? If they beat me, they beat me today. I love the stacking that team in general because they'll run like crazy when they get on bases, and they have on base. They have so many extra outs to get you there with guys like Merrifield and Franco. I'm sorry, Mondesi. But I just didn't quite find them, and partly it's because of my love for the Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays. Like Brandon Lowe, people don't want to play him against a lefty. I don't mind doing stuff like that if I'm going to be stacking the team. So I'm playing Brandon Lowe and Simeon already take up like 70% of my lineup, so it's hard for me to get to Merrifield. I really like Kirk and Stevenson as catchers, so it's harder for me, and Narvaez, so it's harder for me to get to Salvador Perez. I just didn't find my builds taking me there much, but I do have one Royal stack, even though, I mean, look, I could see it happening against Jacks. It absolutely makes some sense. But I actually think that even on the flip side, Jacks and to get weird pitchers for me were Jacks and Lynch today. Who are you thinking about for pitchers? Who sort of stands out to you for your projections and all that?
We got, Valdez is coming up 9.1 for Houston against LA. He's popping. Anderson at 6.6 Ks for Atlanta. He's actually popping quite a bit. He's going to be a little chalky. You got Rodon against Boston. Is that the right game? Am I in the right game?
Yeah.
Rodon
right. Against Boston, but that's be very careful.
Yeah, be careful of that one.
I don't mean even because of Boston. I mean, they let him throw 67 pitches his last time out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he's not, but and he's priced up there. So I mean, he's really low owned, guys. But he's popping a little bit in the projection on DK. Ray's popping, but he's 10-7. So I'm getting a lot of Valdez and Anderson probably. I've been kind of staying up in the top projected guys. I'm at least grabbing maybe a stud pitcher and then go with one of the lower owned guys. Been helping my builds really work out a little bit.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have interest in Marquee. So my pitchers in order are. Look, I think Anderson and Marquee are both dangerous. They both have looked off. It looks like there's something been a little bit wrong, but I like the matchups enough, and I believe enough in Marquee's talent at their price ranges. But Valdez and Ray would be the guys I feel the most comfortable with. So that's what I've got the most of. I actually think I have the most of Valdez of any of them on DraftKings. It's a little frustrating with his strikeout rate, but just feels like a pretty good matchup against this Angels team. We've seen everybody light them up, and this is a guy who keeps the ball in the ground, who can, who'll go out there and throw 100 pitches for you, at least 90 to 100 pitches most of the time. Just feels like a pretty good median option. The guy who I'm using to get, I have 15% of Urias against the Padres. Everybody thinks these Padres crush left-handed pitching. They absolutely do not. I'm not saying that this is the highest upside play. It's another one of the ones that I think is more for safety. The last time against them, I can't remember why they pulled him in that game exactly. But they did pull him a little bit earlier than usual in that last matchup with the Padres, but he hadn't given up anything in 5 innings against the same team. He's going to probably be in the 90 to 100 pitch mark unless he struggles, which he never does basically. I just feel like he's a pretty safe bet to get in that 20 fantasy points on DK range. And possibly the quality start on FanDuel. So he's one that's a little bit off the board for me. I also really like Tyler Mahle. St. Louis has, I think, like the 5th highest strikeout rate against righties this season, which is kind of crazy. And Mahle, he's streaky, but let's take a chance on him at lower ownership here. He and Urias, you put a lineup with him and Urias together, you can play the Blue Jays all you want. You're going to have nobody's doing that. You know what I mean? Anyway. So a couple interesting questions going on here. What's up, K9 Bronco as well? Banks has an interesting playing a 150 person tournament on FanDuel, trying to figure out secondary stack behind Toronto. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second because your other question is interesting to me. Do I trust George Springer in the lineup or grab another Blue Jay instead of him? Now, I think there's a good chance Springer comes out for defensive purposes at the end of the game. They're really bringing him along slowly. He's been out for 3 days. I actually think that some of the higher buy-in stuff, people will come a little bit off of him more than they ordinarily would. But I think that I would prefer – I have more Teoscar Hernandez than I do of him. I have almost as much Gurriel as I do of Springer. But I do like Springer as a part of the stack, and the power upside is still there, even though he's not going to steal bases like he usually does, and he's probably a little overpriced based on that factor compared to everyone else. In terms of the secondary stack for FanDuel, if you're playing a 150 person tournament, I think you can really pick out your favorite spots. It's not that big of a tournament. And one thing or you play Jake Lamb in your stack, you know what I mean? Something like that, or, find a one-off, but I think Tampa Bay as a secondary stack stands out as really appealing for price reasons. And I think Milwaukee stands out obviously because you can do it different ways. Milwaukee, you've got 3 players that I'm interested in that all play the same position. So basically they can't all be owned that much. So where I'm playing Vogelbach, I'm trying to play the Milwaukee guys. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, where I play Vogelbach, I'm trying to play him with either Narvaez or Tellez on FanDuel. Just because it'll differentiate your build somewhat. All right, I got nothing from Rody on that one.
Oh, sorry. I was messaging guys in the Discord. My bad. No, I missed the question.
You're good, bro.
Terrence asked me about my stacks tonight. I just gave him my top stacks, and I checked out for a minute. My bad. What was the question again?
So, no, I was just saying that
George Springer. I know we're talking about Springer in the lineup, right? You're off him a little bit more for T.O. Secondary stack with Blue Jays. Secondary stack as the Blue Jays with the Blue Jays. Yeah, it was what I was trying to get to. And I was saying that I like the Milwaukee thing because I can immediately get different enough by playing Tellez with Narvaez or Tellez with Vogelbach or Vogelbach with Tellez. Like that's just not – I don't think that's how everyone's going to build their stacks. And if you take up that spot on FanDuel, that means you're automatically playing you're not playing Lamb at first base or whatever, and you are playing you play Guerrero if you're playing the stack, obviously. But I think the stack works out nicely that way. And in a 150-person tournament, you don't need to get so far off the board. Yeah, and I always like Tellez. He's got homer upside, and he's cheap. I always like that play. Tellez is in low ownership too. So, yeah. They're really good point per dollar, the Brewers are too. So you don't always have to get the top 3 guys. Yeah. They're all really cheap on FanDuel, I think. You can still play Vlad and Tellez in there. So I mean you got a lot of utility options. Yeah, you could play Vlad third base eligible too. So I mean you can move guys around easily to get those lower owned guys for the Brewers. That's basically exactly what I've got is that version.
And one good thing about playing these lefties at the bottom of the Toronto stack, the value you get in that is one Springer when he's playing, he might miss the last inning because whatever, but that means whoever comes in is probably coming in for him for defensive purposes. They'll probably DH him again, I guess. So I guess it wouldn't be defensive purposes. I guess they're going to DH him today. But I do think that because of the way they're so righty dominant in that lineup, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to bring in a lefty to pitch to Lamb at the bottom of the lineup or something. You know what I mean? Why would they do that with the guys when you have to pitch 3 batters and basically their whole team is right-handed? So I don't think you worry as much about lefties coming in against them and them getting pinch hit for as you might other teams.
Yeah, I think you're good there. So,
but one thing you could do instead of play Gurriel, he's going to be much lower owned than Springer. He's batting 7th, so it doesn't, whatever. We don't care. Play him in your stacks instead of Springer. I mean, you look at the ownership difference projected right now by RG, and I'm going to just say, like, you've got Springer at 25% and Gurriel at 2%. Play Gurriel, right?
Yeah, Springer's price there. Yeah, Springer's high in ownership, man. You definitely Gurriel's got. Yeah, they're about the same. I didn't realize they were the same price too. So yeah,
on FanDuel,
yeah.
And then Teoscar's 300 cheaper on DraftKings. So, and it's the Stevenson one-off. I like that play too. Banks on FanDuel. There's a lot of good players at that price range, though. I mean, Kirk is probably a little bit of a better option, but I do still have some Stevenson. So, but it's more in my red stacks. I do have him a little bit as one-off, but I think that just making that one change to Gurriel over Springer is a strong enough play to get you different in the get you different enough with your Toronto stack, and then you can play these other guys you want to. And we've got, a lot of cheap options at first base / catcher, whatever. I mean, Gavin Sheets stands out to me. You've got Jake Lamb, who fits your Toronto stacks. There's a lot of ways to go with that one, basically, I think. In fact, I think I'm going to do that even in just to give it away in my 1650. I think I'm actually going to play Gurriel instead of Springer.
Good play. There you go.
It's going to. I imagine people are going to play more chalk in general in that tournament. So I actually like that little.
Did you say you're pairing Toronto and Brewers a little bit more on DK or not as much on DK?
Both sites. There's a lot of position overlap stuff. Like I like Wong.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm like, that's a tough one.
Like I love Yelich today, but he's going to be really popular. I really think getting some Mitch Haniger guys. I really like Mitch Haniger in this matchup. And I like Seattle. I didn't get to as many stacks as I initially thought I might, but I think Haniger as a one-off is just an awesome one-off to play.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys, drop in any more questions or thoughts, and we'll keep this thing going. There's a lot of people going to play Blackburn tonight. I do have him in one lineup. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I understand it's against Texas. You have a low strikeout guy. I actually think both sides of the offenses in that game are getting a little bit overlooked. And
chalky, yeah.
I think I don't know why people are doing that. They go, "Oh, I was actually listening to another show. I won't name names. Say, oh yeah, we hate to play games in Oakland in September. Terrible. The weather is terrible." I'm like, okay, well it's warmer there than it is most places on the slate. You have wind blowing out 10, 11 miles an hour. You have 70% humidity. There's better hitting weather. Actually, Oakland of all stadiums today, I believe, has the best. Shout out to Roth, the best edge in the weather edge for compared with the past in that stadium. So in similar matchups. So I actually think Oakland is. The more I talk about it, the more I think about it. I think Oakland makes a lot more sense as a stack, going up against Otto and then who knows what in the bullpen.
Yeah, higher humidity there late at night. Goes up. It's decent. It does cool off a little bit. He gives a negative for that, but the winds are blowing out 11 miles an hour, right? So, yeah, I mean, you can get a good shot there.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to get out of here in 10 minutes. I got to finish building my lines. I haven't actually gone through and edited my FanDuel lineup since the beginning of the day. So, guys, make sure to get any questions or thoughts in while we still can. By the way, how fun was it to watch some football last night? That was a great game. I know we didn't win all the million, but that was fun.
Yeah, we get the million, but yeah, that was a good game, man. I stayed up for it, and it was just why I couldn't, I just want to keep watching, back and forth action there late in the game. It was a good one.
I was really impressed by. I was really impressed by the Cowboys, and I thought Brady was out of control good. Like, I mean, every play they made mistakes on. Like, I mean, even the pick off of Fournette's hands, and then you had all the, he kept getting those drops too late, and then you have the turnover by Godwin. Like, I mean, he could have had just an absolutely like epic all-time game. I thought it was going to be like that one when Peyton Manning first went to Denver and he threw for 7 touchdowns in his first game there. I thought that was what we were going to see last night, but didn't quite get there. But still, it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good game. I think Dallas impressed me a little bit too. Dak just looked slow, but he was getting the ball. He started early on. It looked like he was floating his passes, didn't really get anything behind him. Then he started zinging them in there a little bit more. So he definitely started coming together. I mean, I think they can be a solid offense for the year. So
yeah, I agree. Oh, by the way, another FanDuel specific play. I have no interest really in the Yankees today in any real great way, but Joey Gallo is 2,400 on FanDuel. That's just absurd. Yeah, I know he's struggling, but like, that's an awesome like one-off play that you can use at no ownership. Who cares if he's struggling? The guy's got as much power as anybody in the game. You just got to take advantage of these and play the long-term results, in my opinion. Boy, I'm really needing to find the extra savings in a couple spots on FanDuel, though. I can't quite get the stack exactly the way that I want it for Toronto.
That suck.
It does.
You're a little bit off, or you can't get what you want.
Yeah, I just can't quite get there. There's enough value to make some good cases, but I just, if I want to play Simeon, Vlad, it's just tough. I mean, it's going to force me into playing. What's weird is that it's going to force me into playing Bichette over Simeon just because I need that extra few hundred for my other spots. Because otherwise, it's rather than having 2,100 a player, I want to have 2,300 a player. But anyway, I do like Simeon better than Bichette for what it's worth, but I do think Bichette's an awesome play as well. Oh yeah, the Gronk stuff pisses me off. You know, my take was, I still stand by my take for the season. I still think that you're not going to see this monster season from Gronk or anything like that. But when they're going to have some design plays for him and they're going to use him in, key third down things, and I just don't think that's what you're going to see as much this year. He's not a guy I plan on rostering in full slates very much this year in DFS. That was pretty impressive though, and I was happy for him and Brady. These guys just don't seem to age, I guess.
No, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That actually leaves me more where I want to be now, and I can get exactly what I want with the Vogelbach. And yes, it actually leaves me exactly what I want. Let's do that. Calais. What are your thoughts? Sort of like, I know you do a lot more projections than I do, but I'm thinking the Cincinnati. I like the over in that game just because I like Cincinnati's side of it so much. But I'm sort of surprised at the run projection total against Leicester here. I think this team matches up really well, and I like the lineup they're running out there. I think that and there's a lot of ways you can do it, and they're just not going to get any ownership tonight. So there's a good secondary stack you can try and use also, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get any ownership. That might be a spot to target, but they don't prop as much in the projections, but it's somewhere I might go. I like I said, I'm chasing some tickets right now, so I'm trying to get different. It's been working out a little bit. I have been sticking to the top stacks and the top pitchers, but like I do filter in some of these guys that like maybe one off, like Castellanos is popping a little bit in projections as a one off, maybe, but yeah, they have, I like them. So they're not even priced that bad on DK. So yeah, India, he's been doing well all year. So yeah, I don't mind the stack at all. I think that's a good spot to get different.
Suarez crushes lefties. You got
he's only 3.6 on DK. Suarez, yeah.
And Pereiro, I'm telling you, he has looked terrible at the plate so far. Like he had no justification for that. But the kid is talented. He is one of their top prospects, and I think you can take a shot on just that basis alone.
Oh, maybe I'll put that in as a 5-man stack, huh? Go for the goal.
There you combine it, and then maybe me and you split all the money tonight with Toronto. Combine it with Toronto, and then we got the same lineup. Because I do have some of that for sure. I like, and then you got Stevenson, who's a great pivot off of the popular Kirk. I like Kirk a lot on FanDuel as well, by the way. I'm just curious where his ownership's going to be over there.
Yeah, I played him the other day on FanDuel. I got a big 0, but
I mean, look, it's going to happen, man. These guys nobody's going to hit every time, but
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't ever have recency bias, guys. If these guys suck for you yesterday, don't not play them because you don't want to. Definitely, if they're projecting and they're looking good and they stack well, get them in your lineup. I mean, that's how baseball works. A lot of variance, and day to day is different, much different every day.
Completely agree with all of that. All right. Any other questions or anything before we get out of here, guys? I like what Banks is doing. I think that Gurriel move is sort of the move. It sucks when Springer comes out and hits 2 home runs, right? That's going to feel like we're going to feel like idiots. But Springer is clearly not right. He hasn't been healthy. And you're getting, 1/10 the ownership just because people feel Gurriel's too expensive. And I think that's a perfect time to jump right onto Gurriel. And, for what it's worth, Gurriel does have a tremendous power. And that's what we're playing for, right? Like, so yeah, he's not as good a hitter as Springer. He's not batting leadoff, but I don't think there's any reason we should overlook him, especially with the high walk rate of the guys in front of him. He should have plenty of opportunities tonight. All right, let's play some Kirk here, actually. Yeah, that's what I got to do to round out my stack. Kirk in my main one. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's what I'm probably going to end up with. All right, if there's nothing else, I think we'll roll. Rody, anything? Oh, fave Reds hitters tonight. So my favorite Reds hitters. So Castellanos. I love Castellanos, and I think it's a great spot and everything. It is so weird how bad he's been on the road, but I don't think we can just entirely go with that. Also, good hitting weather for what it's worth in St. Louis tonight, 81 degrees, nice and hot. But I think my favorite bats, depending on the site, are Stevenson. I like as a catcher pivot. I like India, but I think Suarez, who is probably going to strike out 3 times, but maybe hits a home run the third time. That's what he does. He hits 190, and he's going to hit 30 home runs this year. Well, hitting 190. Aquino and Barrero for value. I think the Shields has an excellent stolen base upside matchup, but I would only use him in 5-man stacks. And then you can always play Joey Votto. I just have a little less interest in Votto because I like first base quite a bit between Olsen and Vlad today, and a little bit of Luplow.
Yeah, that's spot on. I like that Cincy call there. There's some good guys there. I'll probably stack them up. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that there's just some room there. I think that there's a lot of ways you could do the stack. You know what I mean? You could use it as a complementary stack. We use 3 hitters, we use 4 hitters, because they maybe they don't go off as much, but they're so cheap. You can combo stack them so easily that at low ownership, they can score 4 runs and you could still win a tournament. I've done this before. I once 5-man stacked the Padres. They scored 2 runs and I won $100K that night. Well, with that lineup, just because I had 2 other guys who hit 2 home runs on my other side of it. And I had 3 stolen bases from the Padres and a home run. So it was like, it's weird how that works sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy.
It's really weird how that happens. Let's just see.
I always play the teams where like they score, like the Dodgers when I won the 100K this year. They score like 8 runs in like the first inning, and like I go from like 70th place to first.
Yep.
And like, okay, I'm like, we're gonna have a big game, I'm gonna blow away this lead or pull it way ahead, and all of a sudden they go stalemate. That's how I've been all year, where the teams I'm on, first couple innings, smash it, get me way up there, and then they like either die. Luckily, they got a few more runs at the late, and my pitching come through, and I was able to stay on the top. But
yeah,
I get these good starts all the time, and then I get to sweat it out, watch me lose. I don't know.
Oh,
it's like
it's no good.
The DFS gods have like get me all excited.
Yep. I came in when I was making a lineup last night while I was watching the game, and I was ready to just plug Byron Buxton into every lineup and look at his price, and they really jumped his price up. They made him 5,700 on DK after making him 3,400 and 2,900. So they really jumped up there. Yeah, I do think Urias is a decent value for shortstop, but I would probably save it mostly for Milwaukee stacks. Although Urias does have some pop, he's just batting further down in the order. But I think we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna finish building my lineups. Rody, anything else for the people before we leave?
Let's just get it tonight as always, and get ready for a big football season. I think we got another video we want to pop out, and we'll have some stuff this weekend for the football, and it's gonna be big.
11:30 a.m. Eastern. You're gonna be with me this week?
I think so. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, that'll be awesome if we can make that work. All right, guys. Good luck to everybody out there. Let's crush it, and yeah, let us know how you're doing. We'll see you guys in Discord. Good luck.
You there? Cut me out. Am I still live? Can't hear shit. This is live. Live.